He's a Super Bowl champ, was a dominating college player at Stanford, actually under Harbaugh for 4 years, and now he's a member of the Seattle Seahawks. He is joining us via the Cowherd Global Satellite Network. Doug Baldwin joining us. Doug, you have played under two of the most iconic American football coaches, the bizarrely intense Harbaugh and the youthful 65-year-old, boyishly optimistic Pete Carroll. It seems to me that you and Carroll work together well, even though he's a defensive guy. Do Harbaugh and Pete have anything in common?
They're very good football coaches. That's obvious, right? You can tell that they're very good football coaches. Yes, they do have differences in the way that they set up their program, but the similarities of the type of coaches they are in terms of their X's and O's and their knowledge, very similar.
You know, when you look at this Seahawk team, a lot of the more outspoken people are defensive players. And generally in the NFL, it is an offensively driven league. Is it a different locker room, Doug, from going back to when you played high school in Pensacola to Palo Alto to the NFL? It is very defense dominated, at least from the outside looking in. Is it a different vibe than any other locker room you've been in?
Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe. We have a lot of leaders on our defensive side of the ball, and rightfully so. The majority of our money that's spent on our team is on the defensive side of the ball. So yeah, they have a dominant presence on our team. But again, our coaching staff, led by Pete Carroll, obviously, has generated and cultivated this environment that allows all of us to speak freely and be open and be vulnerable.
You probably have the most conscientious political locker room in the league. Richard Sherman, yourself, Michael Bennett. Is some of that a Stanford thing? Is that a Pete thing? Because you are an outspoken locker room. What's the genesis of that? Where does it come from? Is it a Pete thing?
I think it is. It's definitely lends itself, or Pete, the culture and the environment that he's created lends itself to us being that way. You know, you have a lot of guys in our locker room who are well-rounded, intellectual individuals. They like to speak on things that are outside of the realm of football, you know, and I encourage that. And I'm really excited and thankful that we have that type of mindset in our locker room because, you know, we have bigger conversations. We all know that football is going to come to an end, and football, you know, let's be honest, football is a game. You know, it's not us out on the street saving lives or as doctors or as police officers or whatever it may be. You know, we play a sport, we play a game. And so we like to talk about things that are a little bit bigger than just the sport, you know, things that actually matter in life.
Yeah. When Michael had the situation in Vegas, I actually saw Michael that night, Michael Bennett, and I was making the argument the other day that I thought it would actually bring Seattle closer together because many players in that locker room have probably at some point in their life faced a situation with law enforcement where they did feel discomfort. After the Michael Bennett situation went national, did it bring it closer together? Was that a situation you talked about amongst yourselves?
It was. It was just a conversation, basically another vulnerable conversation. And again, fortunately enough, we have a safe environment here in Seattle. We're able to have those conversations. When Michael brought it to our attention, specifically myself and Sherm the day after, we really wanted to just be empathetic and supportive of him emotionally. Because again, like you said, there's a lot of guys here, specifically myself and Sherm, who have experienced situations like that before. And we know how traumatizing those events can be when you feel like your life is in jeopardy. And so, yeah, we wanted to be empathetic to Michael, but also, you know, just allow him to express himself in the way that he needed to.
You know, Doug, I was telling a friend this. I may have said this to David Shaw, the Stanford coach, is that Stanford players almost get better in the NFL. And that you guys are all good college players. I remember you were a very good player your last couple of years. You were the leader, touchdowns, receptions. But the culture of Stanford, it does seem like many Stanford players elevate in pro football. Am I reaching, or do you sense that?
No, I do sense that. And I think that it speaks volumes to our strength and conditioning staff there at Stanford and our coaching staff. We definitely obviously implement a pro-style offense. And so when you get into the NFL, which is more of an offensive-dominated game, yeah, right, like you said, offensive players typically have more expanded roles and can display and showcase their talents at a greater level in the NFL. And particularly with our defensive guys, you look at Sherm, who's come a long way from his days at corner at Stanford, which were terrible, by the way. He's come a long way. It tends to lend itself also to the fact that the guys in our organization, or our college, right, not our organization, but at Stanford, we build this resiliency that whatever obstacle or challenge you face, you're going to dominate it. That's just the mindset that we have. And so, when you get to the NFL, you see these opportunities that, other people would look at as challenges, and we typically try to dominate those and typically come out successful.
You go to Green Bay, Jeremy Lane gets thrown out of the game. It's a lousy call. How does it not, when you're facing Green Bay, you get a touchdown taken off the board? How do you keep it together, Doug, knowing you just got hosed by the officials on the road?
Do you mean during the game or after the game?
Like when you're in the middle of that game and they just took a touchdown off the board, and that's going to be hard to score against Green Bay anyway. Was it hard to remain resilient knowing they stole one from you, in your opinion?
No, not at all. And it's just how we focus. There's things that are going to happen in the game that are out of our control. We really don't have any control over those calls. And so we can't get too much emotionally invested in those situations. We have to focus on the things that are right before us, and that's what we try to do. And occasionally, obviously, we're humans. We're susceptible to falling into the trap of emotions, but for the most part, we bounce back pretty quickly. I thought we did a good job in that moment of bouncing back and trying to do the best with our opportunity. But again, it's a great team over there that we played, so we can't give them anything in that regard.
Okay, as Doug has talked, you've seen Vizio over his shoulder. Vizio big screens for big plays. I own 2 Vizios myself, so I used to be a spokesman for Vizio, but they upgraded to Doug Baldwin and got rid of me. So congratulations. It is a great product. Anything you want to say about Vizio, Doug?
Yeah, so this year, every time a play of 40 yards or more ends in a touchdown, Vizio is going to give a lucky fan a big screen TV. It's real simple. Fans can go and they can enter at the TV. I gotta mention this. It's going to be an M-Series SmartCast 50-inch TV. You can go to Vizio.com/bigplays for your chance to enter to win. So make sure you guys take part of that.
Doug, you're an easy guy.
Get you another TV.
Yes, I've got 2 Vizios, and they're huge, and I watch Seahawk victories mostly, except this weekend. Doug, congratulations to you. Thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Hi, everybody, and thanks for watching. We want you to subscribe here, to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the herd, or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.